Welcome to Goddess Behavior, the podcast where ancient myths meets modern main character energy.
We're your hosts, Steph and Laura.
No textbooks, just great stories, hot takes, and some unhinged ancient audacity.
So pour a drink, fix your crown, and step into your mythic era.
This is Goddess Behavior.
Okay.
All right, to the sky we go, sun and the moon.
And why humans made the sky person.
Yeah. So I think after we talked about the moon in the Black Forest, we were like, oh,
Yeah.
we have to talk about the sun and the moon. There's just so much mythology behind.
And also, I think we've just, in case you haven't gotten enough of this from us, super into the liminal
Yeah, exactly.
liminal places.
Yeah, and
spaces.
and these celestial bodies, if you will,
Yeah,
definitely both have those moments of liminal in-betweens, right?
Or help drive those liminal spaces.
Yeah, exactly. So before humans had astrology charts, and before they blamed Mercury retrograde for every little problem, and before people started talking about sun energy and moon energy, humans had already been turning to the sky for a story.
They became gods, lovers, rulers, witnesses, rivals, guides, and even omens. Because humans needed the universe to feel personal before it could feel understandable.
And honestly, we still do it now.
Yeah.
Today, we are exploring the sun and the moon mythologies across cultures, why humans emotionalize the cosmos, and how celestial mythology eventually became the foundation for astrology itself.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about the land, we've talked about mountains, we've talked about forests.
Yeah. Now we're like the sky.
And now we're up in the sky.
Yeah.
So for us, this is really fun because I think after doing the Pleiades.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
Because
where our brain started going
was
after
like,
that.
oh, we can do that.
We got to do
dig
that.
more into that. Yes. So this is very fun.
Yeah. And there's so much story that comes along with the sky as a whole.
Yeah.
And we figured the sun and the moon is a good place to start with that.
And they're just two really big pieces. I think a lot of people overlook the things that the sun is responsible for, things that the moon is responsible for, and the driving forces behind both.
Yeah, and how they're still integral to life today,
Yeah.
despite being, things that have existed for so long.
That maybe they're not. You don't think about it every day, right?
Right.
But
where these ancient peoples, it was a big center of their life.
Yeah.
We don't have it in that way, but they're still important.
Yeah. I mean, we have digital clocks.
Yes.
We have charts for the time.
Yeah, to
There's so
reference
many
those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we still use them though. They still have their power. So before we get into mythology specifically, I think we need to go to why we started looking up.
I mean, yeah, again, I think it's easy for us to forget that now we live in a world where we have electricity,
all these modern conveniences.
Yeah. Our digital calendars. We don't even have to think or work at all to determine what day it is.
Yeah, where they used to have to use the sun and the moon to figure that stuff out.
Yeah.
And
sundials and
all of that, right? Yeah, so for most of human history, that wasn't possible.
Yeah.
The sky was the humanity's first clock in this, not only in time, but in days and the years and the seasons, everything, right? The setting of the sun told people when to work, when to travel, and when to seek shelter. The changing seasons determined crops and harvesting. Long before calendars existed, people were reading time directly from the heavens.
Yeah. I mean, I think these lunar cycles also are what helped mark our months and the changes of seasonings.
Yeah.
I know there are a lot of things that you can relate cycle-wise to the moon.
Yeah.
But these seasonal shifts helped the communities track the passing years. Again, it's really big with agriculture.
Yeah.
I think, it's something
which is a big thing for an ancient
people. We don't
people.
have to think about that, but
some people do.
It was,
yeah.
But it was such
not the
big,
day-to-day. Yeah.
Big piece of sustainment for them.
100%. Yeah, I mean, I think it means the difference between feast and famine, if you will. It was so tied to their everyday, right? And then the moon is, again, the moon's cycles are linked to tides, migration patterns, fertility, menstruation, rituals, and religious observances. Across cultures, people noticed that life seemed to move in cycles, and many of those cycles appeared accordance to the changing face of the moon.
Yeah.
Which is just like, it's It's so simple, but also so something we don't think about. I think as women, especially with the moon,
Yeah.
we're tied to it no matter whether we
There's no
realize it or
changing that.
not, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's interesting to me that these people, there were things they couldn't understand
Yeah.
and they looked up,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
It's,
To something bigger than them, which would seem more daunting to
yeah.
me. Mm.
Yeah.
But I
I would,
guess maybe they felt like, oh, there's a bigger world out there's more answers up that way than there
yeah.
are where we are, you know? Yeah, so it wasn't just pretty, it was practical.
And necessary. I
Yeah,
mean, it gave them,
knowledge.
mhm,
Mhm.
it's so important. And then also like a little terrifying.
Oh, yeah, definitely it
Yeah. Like
could
you
have
have to,
its
it still has
pieces.
sort of a duality there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if the sun just stopped rising one day, then the seasons would change and
And it's
you know,
It's gonna affect your food sources. It's
right.
gonna affect your day-to-day life
Yeah.
significantly,
Or an eclipse or some other kind of
which
unknown Can you imagine
would
how scary
obviously
that would have
cause
been?
so much panic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And they didn't have like a scientific explanation. So they're
Yeah, they
running
were
off
just
of
like,
like something's weird happening with the big balls in the sky. You
yeah,
know?
I mean,
It's
I would panic.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
imagine standing in the middle of the day and watching the sun just disappear. Scary.
That would be scary,
Yeah.
yeah. Or like in a lot of these mythologies, as we'll get into, it's like you blame that god, right? You're
Yes.
like, "Wait a second, what did I do? Did
Why
you
did
take the sun away?"
yeah,
You
what did
know?
we do to you?
Yeah.
Or like the moon turning red, or these, spooky
Yeah, the red.
things around the moon. Right, all
Yeah.
the yeah, exactly. Or a comet racing across the sky. I know that's not about the sun or the moon, but just anything out
Yeah,
up in space.
it's not like they could just Google it
Right.
and be
And
like, "Hey,
and make
what was
sense of
this?"
that, right? Yeah. There's no monitoring in that way.
And it's wild to think about that because the sky decided whether crops grew, whether journeys were safe, whether communities could thrive or were struggling, whether the world felt predictable or frightening. I mean,
Right.
and there was no way. There was no way.
No. Yeah, so I think humans did what humans always have done. When they were faced with something powerful and mysterious, they tell stories.
Yeah.
They gave names to celestial bodies and they imagined personalities, relationships, rivalries, and motivations to help explain these things
That were
that were
happening
happening.
around them.
Mhm.
Because when the world is that confusing or like that, I don't know, to me, daunting,
Yeah.
I it would be helpful to control what you can control.
And like the randomness of it, like kind of like what
Yeah.
we were saying, it kind of like these big celestial events don't happen all the time, but
Right.
when they do, it's like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
That's
You're like, wait, this hasn't happened.
yeah. Or I remember my grandmother talking about it, but I
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
experience it myself. So
But
these
maybe they had
stories,
heard a story, right?
exactly. So that's how they know, okay, this happened before. It's
It'll
not,
be
it'll
big.
be, the world will go on afterwards, right? Yeah. So that's where the mythology comes in, right?
It's the what does it mean?
Right.
You know,
Yeah. And that's why the answers became some of these stories.
of our oldest stories.
Yeah.
So, in order to better help everyone understand these, you know, mythological functions that were
Yes.
happening here, humans personified the cosmos
Right.
because relationships are easier to understand.
Right.
The sun and the moon were never just celestial bodies. Humans turned them into these personalities and
Hmm.
relationships, omens, and emotional symbols because people needed the universe to feel relational
Hmm.
before they could understand it or before it could feel understandable. The sky was mythology first.
So once humans started looking up to the sky for survival, something fascinating happened. We didn't stop at observing, we started telling stories. Because knowing when the sun rises is one thing, understanding why is another. And most of human history, people weren't looking for a scientific explanation, they were just looking for a meaning. Well, wow.
And meaning usually comes from establishing these relationships.
Right, right.
The give and take of your
Of
sort of
things.
day-to-day
Right.
existence, yeah.
Yeah. And that's why across cultures you see the sun and the moon are never just celestial beings. They become bigger than that.
Yeah.
They become their own personalities, their own characters, family members, things that normal person could relate to. And you also have to think these people, well, a lot of them couldn't read and write. So you're telling oral tradition and you're also going off of human experience, something that anybody who heard the story could understand.
Hopefully relate
Yeah,
to in some way.
right.
Yeah.
Because relationships are easier for humans to understand than chaos, right?
Yeah.
The sky would have been absolutely chaotic if you're looking up at it having no context as to what is happening, right?
Yeah.
The moment humans started assigning motives to celestial bodies, the cosmos became a story. And remarkably, cultures all over the world did this independently. So you see this happen over and over again. Like you're not just seeing it in one place
Yeah.
where they have a sun and a moon god. This is
I
everywhere.
mean, as we knew when we were outlining this, is that we had to really narrow this
Oh,
down
yes. Yeah.
because every country, every region has a sun and the moon
Yeah.
god, goddess
Yeah, and I think it actually was good for
story.
us because it reined us in a little. We're like, "Okay, wait, I think we need to, like, go more well-known, if you will, to
Yeah.
some of these stories."
But yeah, so universally, people were looking up
Right.
and looking for answers.
Yeah, it's a
And
human experience, nothing specific to a certain region
yeah,
or anything like that.
so it's really cool. It's again like what we were seeing with the mountains and with the
Yes.
land. With we're seeing a lot of these really early cultures and peoples.
Understanding, like, basic, cycles and routines of
Yeah,
life. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, so some traditions imagine the sun and the moon as lovers, forever trying to find one another in the sky. Others see them as siblings whose relationship explains the movement between day and night. Sometimes they were rivals locked in an external struggle. Sometimes they were divine rulers responsible for maintaining cosmic order. Sometimes they were figures being chased, hunted, swallowed, or reborn. But underneath all of those stories is the same human instinct. We understand people better than we understand the randomness.
Yeah.
So when they looked at the sky, they translated cosmic events into something familiar.
Family, love, conflict, loss, duty, transformation, just sort of all of these themes that they could relate to and then hopefully understand a little bit
Yeah.
better, like what was
Hmm.
happening. Yeah. And in that way, the sun and the moon become emotional symbols
Right.
long before they're scientific.
Yeah, for sure. And we do still do this now. We call people our sunshine, or we describe people as mysterious or lunatics, or which we'll get into later
Yeah.
because I had to go there. And we associate the sun with warmth and confidence and vitality and visibility.
We associate the moon with intuition and emotion and dreams, change. Again, it's a liminal
Yes,
space.
yes. So thousands of years later, we're still speaking the language mythology taught us because the sky was never just a collection of distant objects. For most of human history, it was our first shared storybook.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, it is. Like I said, I find it so interesting that it's a human thing. It's not just
Every
one
culture
group that felt
looked
this
up.
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of other mythology, like, can be very specific to, like, either a place
To
or a
the region.
time or
Yeah.
yeah, and this is just not that way.
I mean, even if some look up later than others,
Mhm.
right? It still happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Every culture looked up at the same heavens and asked the same question: "What is the sky trying to tell us?" And the answer becomes some of the most enduring myths that we've ever created. So, I think one thing we need to settle is, like, the default of the sun being male and the moon being female.
Yeah, I mean, initially, I think I even said it in the Black Forest how typically the moon is a female
Is a
or is
goddess. Yeah.
associated with
Yeah,
goddesses. And while that is
true.
why, it's true, especially for like Western cultures, that's
Mhm.
what we see. There are plenty of male examples too. But the reason that the Western culture so strongly associate the male as the sun and the female as the moon character is largely linked to our Greek
Yes.
mythology, right? Everyone sees Apollo as the
The sun.
sunshine and
Mhm.
Artemis as the moon.
Right.
I'm not a big Apollo fan, but
Nope. Don't love that guy. No, and it's funny because even Greek mythology makes it more complicated than that, right?
yeah,
Apollo is not the sun god,
yeah,
and Artemis is not the moon goddess. So if we really want to go there, right? Apollo is not the sun, Helios is.
yeah.
Helios was a titan who drove a golden chariot across the sky every day, literally carrying the sun from east to west, before journeying back through the underworld each night and doing it all over again. His role wasn't just to provide light, he was a witness.
And the moon was originally Selene. So, like Helios, she also drove a celestial chariot, carrying the moon across the night sky. I keep picturing Nyx.
Yes. Yep.
Our original
Yep.
nights, our primordial night.
Yes.
But anyway, she carried the moon across the night sky, but Selene embodies something very different. She becomes associated with cycles. So, tradition, longing, and mystery.
Later, Apollo became increasingly associated with the sun, and his twin sister, Artemis, becomes associated with the moon. And I think it's important to note that each of them represented other things. They were not just the sun god and the moon goddess, right? And I think that's where people it all gets messed messed up.
So, what we see later, and again, thanks to Western traditions, is that Apollo and then his twin sister, Artemis, become associated with Apollo the sun,
Mhm.
Artemis the moon.
Right. The Greek framework became incredibly influential in Western art and literature and philosophy. So influential, in fact, that we unconsciously believe that to be true in our brains,
Like
right?
the most
The
true.
most
Yeah.
true, right? So that masculine energy equates to the sun, and the feminine energy equates to the moon because of what we've been raised on as our baseline,
Yeah, I think
right?
it gets deemed as like the traditional way to look at them.
Yeah. Hmm.
And I think is at least what we've seen up until this point that that's not always the case.
No, not at
Right?
all. And while those associations are familiar, they're actually a relatively late and very specific lens that we're viewing this celestial mythology through, right? So we're looking through it through the Greek lens because that's what we've been taught from our Western angle, right? And Greek centric angle, because I think, as we all know, that's the one that we all seem to go to as a
It's what
baseline for mythology, period,
and it's
right?
what
Yeah.
people learn about Zeus.
Yes.
Right. It's
Yeah.
just and the Olympians.
Yeah.
It's just or have seen the movie Hercules.
Right,
So like
exactly.
I think it's just what gets taught the most. And so therefore it's always sort of assumed to be true or the
Right,
case
right.
when
Or that everyone else's mythology follows that pattern. Yeah.
right. When actually it does not.
Nope. It
So
does not.
yeah, I mean honestly I'm pretty excited to get into why that's not the case.
Definitely. I mean,
Turns out a lot of it is the opposite.
yeah.
And so if all these cultures are observing the exact same celestial bodies,
Yeah.
why do they tell different stories,
Yeah, I mean, the sky's not a map per se, but a mirror. So
Ooh.
cultures weren't discovering objective truths about the sun and the moon. They were projecting their own values onto them. So each mythology is a reflection of the people.
And what they valued.
Right. So that's why you see differences between the cultures. So while there is always a sun and the moon represented, they're not represented the same way.
Yeah, and their energies might have been different, varying
Right.
where you are, like
Right. And
geographically.
then
Yeah.
again, the gender is determined on that, right? And what
Yeah.
they thought of as a tradition, like a feminine role versus a male role,
Yeah.
right? We didn't simply observe the sky, we interpreted it. And perhaps that's why celestial myths continue to resonate now.
I mean, we're still doing it.
Mm-hmm.
We're still assigning personalities to planets. We're still describing people as my sunshine.
Yeah, or my little dark storm cloud.
Yeah, I mean, I think like all of us or a lot of us have seen those cute little Disney shorts where the
Yeah.
clouds are
Oh, I was
moving in.
thinking of Wednesday.
Good
Yeah,
too.
I
Yeah,
think
I
that's what
mean,
they call
again,
it. Her dad
no,
calls her that,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
yes, totally.
His little storm cloud. I'm like, I relate.
It's so good. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's like a very common way to explain personality
Yeah.
traits. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just how it becomes.
Yeah, we're still using the cosmos to explain ourselves.
Yeah.
And technology might have changed, language might have changed, but the instinct hasn't because humans have never had context to simply live under the sky. We've always wanted to protect reflect ourselves into it. All right. So, our first story, we're going back to Norse mythology. Yes, yes, exactly. So, one of the most fascinating things about Norse mythology is that it completely flips the modern assumption of the sun being masculine and the moon being feminine. Because, in fact, in Norse mythology, the sun is a goddess named Sol, and the moon is her brother, Mani. Uh, but unlike other cultures where the sun and the moon are rulers peacefully crossing the sky, in Norse mythology, they're running. They are on the move constantly.
There's a lot of running.
Yes, I hate it. According to the story, Sol drives the chariot of the sun across the heavens while Mani guides the moon. And behind them are two wolves, Skoll, who is pursuing the sun, and Hati, who chases the moon. Every sunrise, every sunset, every moonrise, every moonset. It's a cosmic chase, and the wolves never stop. The sun and the moon are not moving because they choose to, but because they are being pursued.
That's an interesting concept on its own.
Mm-hmm.
But I also just, for like an image here, it's giving like yin yang,
Yes.
right? Where like,
Mhm. Yeah, you have like
they're
the
each
opposite, but they're
chasing.
also balanced. Like
Yeah.
it's very.
Also, Soul is a sunscreen brand.
Oh yeah, sure.
SOL. Yeah.
Yeah, so Sol is still like Scandinavian language. It would be sun.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
still the
I mean,
same.
that
Yeah.
absolutely makes sense.
Mhm.
Right. Because that's sunscreen. Like I have their
Oh yeah.
brush sunscreen.
Oh yeah, I love that. Also,
So,
if you've never applied sunscreen with a makeup brush, you're
oh, 10
missing
out
out.
of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if you've listened to our Nix and Scotty episode, you already know that Norse mythology tends to view the universe a little differently than other traditions. And the Norse gods know that the ending
Is inevitable.
Yep. Fate is not something that can be conquered, it's something to be met. And
Understood.
right. And that's exactly what this story reflects. Because eventually at Ragnarok, at the prophesized end of the world, again, if you listen to that, our other episodes where we talk about that, like
Yeah.
Fenrir, the wolves eventually catch them. So the sun is devoured, and so is the moon, and the cosmic order collapses.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yep. And what's interesting is that it isn't simply a story about destruction, it's a story of inevitability. The Norse weren't asking, how do we avoid the end? They were asking, how do we keep moving knowing that the end exists?
Right. Which is a problem that, I mean, we see them attempt to solve throughout
Yes,
mythology.
exactly.
Yeah, it's a
Mhm.
really big piece of their stories. I think time often feels a lot like that, like
Mhm.
unpredictable in that way.
Yeah.
Because as we move forward every day, knowing every day brings us closer to maybe a change or
Mhm. Yeah, I think we don't think about time.
aging,
Yeah,
uncertainty. I mean, it's not a pleasant way to live your day-to-day life.
not at all.
But the reality is, or at least like something we at least think about
Yeah,
occasionally, is the fact that, just as an
time is
example,
moving on
time
without.
passes. Our kids get older
Mhm.
every single day.
I don't like
Um,
it.
yeah, it's one of those things where even like my oldest just turned 9, and I'm like, stop.
Yes,
No,
yeah, I know.
I said no more growing.
Yeah.
But they do anyway.
I know. I saw an Instagram the other day that was like, I used to look at how big they were as fruit. When they talk about, I was like, oh my God, I don't like it. And there was like the graduation, and we
It's
just had
horrible.
VPK graduation, and I was like, oh well, I didn't cry then, but now I'm
Right
crying.
now,
Yeah, this
yeah,
is
it's like, oh,
rude. Yeah, but it just keeps moving, and the cosmos don't stand still either. And I
yeah,
think that's why this myth just keeps making sense to all of us, right?
yeah.
The wolves and the chariots have a very familiar truth that it's all moving through time no matter what we
It's
do to stop
inevitable.
it. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's also like trying to stay present. I think that's what maybe it's calling for, of like time still moves no matter whether you're looking for the end or not, and trying to live in the present at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Like being conscious of that, but then also not dwelling on it. Like you were saying, that's a
You
terrible way to live.
can't change it. It
Yeah.
it wouldn't be a fun way to live.
No, exactly.
Poor Odin.
Yeah, like exactly. That's what I think of. I'm like,
Why?
Odin, geez,
Yeah.
what a downer. So another familial sun and moon
Mm.
is in Japanese mythology.
In Shinto tradition, the sun is not a god. The sun is a goddess.
Mm-hmm.
So another sun goddess.
Yeah.
And her name is Amaterasu.
Yes.
And she is one of the most important deities in Japanese mythology. She is associated with light, life, order, agriculture, and the overall well being of the world itself. Makes sense. She's the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Which actually makes the sun feel very motherly.
yeah, when you think of like sustainment of
Mhm.
life,
Totally. It's just a different outlook on that maternal
what
being
it
maternal
means. Yeah,
means,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But she isn't alone. She
Yep.
has two brothers, Susanoo, the storm god, and Tsukui, no, Tsukuyami,
Yep.
the moon god. And I love this because right away, Japanese mythology gives us a family dynamic
Mhm.
instead of an abstract
Yeah,
celestial
totally.
system, right? The sun, the moon, and the storms aren't separate phenomena, they're siblings.
Yeah.
They're in relationship with one another. Humans made the cosmos relational before they made it scientific.
Right, so it all falls under the umbrella of the sky because it all does connect,
Like the
right?
sky being family
Yeah.
and sort of their dynamics, how they're working together or
Yes.
maybe not
Not working
working
together.
together.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just
As we'll see.
and it also was
Yeah.
something that again allowed them to understand these things. So
Right.
it's really cool.
Yeah.
Sukuyami
Mhm.
isn't often portrayed as the soft emotional moon figure that we might be used
Used
to
to.
seeing
Mhm.
today. He's associated with the night, timekeeping, lunar cycles, and order.
Mm.
In many ways, he acts as a counterpart to Amaterasu, helping establish rhythm and balance in the world. But one of the most famous stories surrounding these celestial siblings isn't about harmony at all. It's about separation.
Mhm.
So, what happens when maybe they don't
Get
act
along.
together
Yeah.
or get along?
According to one myth, Sokuyumi visits Okemoshi, the goddess of food. She prepares an elaborate feast for him, and he becomes disgusted when he discovers that she magically produced the food from her body.
Women do that all the time.
True. So in anger, he kills her.
Oh.
Rational men.
Oh,
10.
okay.
That, so
Mercury was in retrograde.
yes. When Amaterasu learns what happened, she's horrified. Also, naturally.
Yeah.
She refuses to ever look upon him again. Well, it's also very dramatic. And that's one explanation as to why the sun and the moon are separated in the sky. So she's just disgusted by his actions. She's like,
Yeah,
bro,
she's
what
like,
the
"What
heck
is wrong with
did you
you?"
do? That's a little aggressive. I know she did something you didn't like, but did you have to kill her?
Yeah, it's a big jump there. I don't
Which is,
know.
yeah, but also very sibling like. I'm never speaking to you again, Like sounds about right.
Yeah, she's probably the oldest sibling.
This feels very eldest daughter coded, no question. They no longer travel in the sky together, so the day and the night become permanently divided.
And I think that's honestly such a good emotional interpretation because in some cultures, the sun and the moon are lovers forever
Hmm.
chasing each other, right? So
Right.
they're on that endless loop of they love each other,
Longing,
but they can never
never
be
be
together.
together, which also is very cute, and I like it, but
Yeah,
also
fine. Siblings fighting
much more
sounds more
realistic.
appropriate.
Yes.
And they're like, yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah. So the Japanese made them siblings separated by, wow,
Moral rupture.
yes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The distance between them becomes a story about boundaries and consequence and about relationships that can't simply return to what they once were. But Amaterasu's most famous story is still the one about her withdrawal
Ooh, another conflict. This
with
time
her other
with
brother.
her other brother. Brothers.
See, the brothers.
With her
Eldest daughter having to deal with two younger brothers.
after another conflict, this time with her brother Susanoo. Susanoo. His actions become so destructive and upsetting that Amaterasu retreats into a cave and seals herself inside. She's not going to look at anybody ever again.
She's like, go away.
Last straw. She's like,
Yep.
I'm not looking at either
I
of
am
you now.
done. Had enough of your shit.
And when she does, the world changes. The sun disappears. Darkness falls across the land,
Mm.
which, I mean, obviously, then crops are
Yeah.
failing, chaos spreads,
Consequence.
and other
Again, it is a
gods.
different version of consequence.
Oh,
Yeah. Hmm.
totally. And I mean, it puts the other gods in a sense of like, panic.
Check.
Like, what do we
Yeah.
do?
Mhm.
What happened? What's happening?
Yeah, the world depends on her presence. How do you how do you get around that? You can't. You can't get around not having her around, right?
Yeah, the sun is very important. So the other gods gather outside the cave and are trying to figure out this plan of like
This feels
how to
very Scotty, like,
entice
how do we
her
get
to come
her
out.
yeah.
Yeah.
How do we get her to laugh?
And so they create music, laughter, dancing, celebration. They're trying
Yeah,
anything. And eventually, Amaterasu becomes curious enough to peek outside.
because
And
eventually you're like, "Okay, what are they doing out there? I gotta
like,
see."
oh, don't leave me out.
Yep.
When she does, she sees her reflection and is gradually coaxed back into the world.
Mm,
The cave opens and light returns, so order is restored.
right. Yeah, so it's interesting both of them have this, like, sibling dynamic and the consequences of you fighting, essentially, like,
Yeah.
don't fight with your sibling because their consequence is bigger than just the 2 of you fighting.
Yeah. I mean, I think, again, a lot of these worlds so valued order.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like disorderly conduct is looked down upon. I mean, it makes
Right.
sense. Yeah.
Totally. This is a myth about why the sun disappears and returns. But emotionally, it feels deeper because this isn't a story about a warrior defeating a monster. It's a story about what happens when light gets taken away, when the warmth is gone, when connection is lost. Amaterasu's absence doesn't just create physical darkness, it creates social and emotional disorder. And that's such a powerful reflection of how humans experience light itself. Across cultures, sunlight becomes associated with hope, stability, safety, visibility, and life, not because it's beautiful, but because entire communities depended on it. And in this story, she's not just this celestial object, she's social order, emotional well being, and the thing that allows for life to function itself. Again, the mom. We
Yeah.
need
The
mom.
mom who's like,
Yeah.
okay, enough.
Yeah.
You will behave or I'm hiding in my cave.
Yes.
Where's my cave?
I know. I need a cape today, for sure.
Yeah.
And the moon is not a passive observer either. Tsukuyomi
Mm.
reminds us that even the separation of day and night can be understood as a relationship, not an accident, but
That it has a
consequence. Mhm.
purpose.
um, and again, they turn the sky into family.
And I think it's what helps these stories still resonate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we've all experienced the moment where we've seen an entire room change because of families fighting.
Yeah. Yes. And then
Especially siblings.
I also want to go into a cave,
Oh,
seal
yeah.
it off,
Mm-hmm.
and no, everyone leave me alone.
Yeah.
I need 15 minutes
Yes.
at least.
Yep, exactly.
So, another way the Japanese portrayed the moon
Mm,
was in the children's story about the moon rabbit.
okay.
So, while
Sounds
Western
cute.
stargazers see a man in the moon,
Okay.
Japanese children grew up seeing a rabbit.
Okay.
So, according to Japanese, again, this is
Folklore,
folklore.
but it's still fun.
But
Yeah.
it's fun, and I bring it up here because I know we've been discussing folklore a lot.
Yeah.
But this is fun. We haven't done this with Japan yet.
Yes.
So according to Japanese folklore, a rabbit can be seen on the moon busily pounding mochi with a pestle. So
I love the idea of this
it's
rabbit.
an
Like,
interesting image. The story originates from a Buddhist tale where a rabbit sacrificed itself to feed a hungry god.
mm-hmm.
And because the god was moved by the rabbit's selflessness, he placed it on the moon as a symbol of compassion and purity.
That's so
So it's
sweet.
actually kind of a nice story.
So this is like a really good example of how like culture projects onto these celestial bodies, right? Like
Oh,
this
yeah.
it's a different way to interpret the moon, right? That the Japanese came up with on their own. It's unique and it's a fun story for that reason. And I can see why it's memorable because it's not something I've heard in any other tradition.
It's not our man on the moon with the fishing pole.
No,
It's a
exactly.
little rabbit.
Yeah, so nice. Similar to Norse mythology, Egyptian mythology teaches that the universe needs maintenance. So, like we were talking about with Norse mythology, is this cyclical chase of like balance that they also believed that the universe needed these deities to balance everything out.
Yeah. And all play a part. All play their
Right.
part. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, and I guess same with them again with the Japanese. It's all under the same umbrella of the sky.
Yeah. In ancient Egypt, the sun god, so Ra,
Mhm.
wasn't simply a symbol of warmth or daylight. He was responsible for maintaining the order of the entire cosmos.
That's a big job.
That's a big job. So the truly fascinating part happened at night because the sun wasn't gone, it was working.
Mhm.
So by evening, Ra descended into the underworld and began a dangerous journey through darkness. Throughout the night, he traveled through 12 regions, battling forces of chaos before emerging again at dawn.
Sounds like a lot of work. It's like work, 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 work all day. Well,
Yeah.
I kinda get that. But, yeah,
We're
no
all battling our own forces.
yes, our own forces of chaos.
I don't know that I could put a number on it. 12 regions.
Uh
12.
Ooh, I like that. I
Sure.
like 12 regions.
Um, anyway,
I
and his greatest enemy was Apophis. So he's this giant serpent who represented the chaos,
mm,
destruction, and really just posed a threat because he was just constantly
causing chaos.
causing chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was disorderly.
Yes. Yeah, so every night they fought. Every night. And
Hmm.
every sunrise was proof that Ra had won again. But
So worth celebrating.
yeah,
Oh, interesting.
the Egyptians didn't only pay attention to the sun, they also watched the moon. The moon was associated with gods like Kansu, the deity connected to time, healing, and the measurement of passing days, and Thought, the god of wisdom,
Makes
writing,
sense.
and divine knowledge. And I love this because it gives us a completely different understanding to the moon that we have now.
Yeah, I mean it's given a duality.
Mhm.
So not just one like a singular representation,
Yeah,
but two.
right. And it becomes practical, not
Mhm.
mysterious. Like it's
It's a like with a measurement of time, a
mhm.
measurement, and then sort of that the thought process behind it. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, and I think also if you go again back to this like western view of the moon being feminine, it gets tied to being emotional, right?
Yeah,
Because
here
if you think about the cycles and things happening in an
they
order and
quantify it.
time and all of these things, it's actually very structured and very unemotional and practical.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
mean,
very interesting how it all turns its on its
again,
head. Like it's not
if you look at something in a cyclical nature
mhm.
as a cycle,
Yes.
it has angles, it has
Yeah.
coordinates, it has there's science behind all of that too.
Yeah. So it's I think when one gets like put in the shadow, if you will,
Mhm.
it's an interesting way to look at it. Yeah, if
Yeah.
Ra represents this visible work of maintaining life, then the moon represents a quieter work of measuring it.
Really an enjoyable way for me to think about it. I like
I
that a
do too.
lot.
Yeah.
I like in my mind, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, there you can measure it. It's
Yeah.
so logical to me. I like
Exactly.
it.
Yeah.
Mm.
And especially because a lot of these mythology stories can be very illogical and it
Yeah.
kind of just is like, oh, this is the story to explain something.
And you're like, oh,
There's a
there's
lot
been a
of
couple of times sitting here doing this. We're like,
sure.
okay, well, that doesn't make
Mm,
that's the story. But
right.
this one I'm like,
Yeah, logical
logical,
here.
that makes
And if
sense.
you think about the pyramids and how precise they are,
It
it
ha
makes a lot of sense.
yeah, I think that
These people
maybe as a
are
people, they really were a little
very
more precise and
yes.
intentional about things.
Yeah, exactly. So together, these beings created a rhythm. The sun brought action, moon brought reflection, the sun brought life outward, and the moon tracked it inward. And underneath it all is this beautiful idea that the universe doesn't sustain itself automatically.
Yeah, that there's work to it.
It requires participation.
Yeah, I think both ends of this, the sun and the moon, are exhibiting that there's work behind each force,
Right.
work behind each act,
And
each action.
they're equally important.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, the Egyptians understood that this balance wasn't permanent and needed to be renewed every day, every night,
On
over and
repeat.
over, right?
Yeah.
So that it needed to be constantly worked on. And it's something that we don't think about because now having the science behind it, the moon and the sun just work on their own, right?
Yeah, we don't have to think about it, but this was very like very much a relationship
Mhm.
there, right? Where relationships do require work. They don't
Right.
just exist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it informs that really well for
Right.
me. I'm like in my brain, I'm like, I love this. This
So
is
good.
so good.
Well, because if you think about like with siblings, you don't most commonly, you're
Yes.
not choosing your siblings,
Correct.
right? You're born with them. You're
Mhm.
kind of like Like in
You have no
Japan, she's just
choice.
kinda stuck with
She's
those
like, "Oh,
brothers,
great."
and
Exactly.
they're making bad choices, and I'm
Yeah.
done with them, but she's not.
Y
Her siblings.
yes.
This is you're choosing to put the work in every
Yes.
day in each relationship there, and
Yeah, it's
I like it.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also wonder too, like, this sibling idea is like you're cut from the same cloth.
Ooh, right.
So you maybe are seeing bits of yourself reflected in these choices that you don't like,
Well,
which is an
she's came
interesting
from
thing.
somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, there's
Yeah,
dad.
exactly. I have that sometimes.
I also love that these myths don't frame darkness as evil. So
Yes.
here the nighttime is necessary. It's a
Mhm.
necessary process to work through. So like Ra has to travel through it. The moon has
Right.
to rise. Darkness is simply where another kind of work is happening.
Yeah.
Um, the danger comes when chaos overwhelms that balance.
Right.
Because this isn't a story about good versus evil, it's a story about order versus disorder.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it's about understanding that stability isn't a permanent state, it's an ongoing work.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, you sort of have to maintain the effort and work on that relationship in
Yeah.
order for it to be stable. Yeah.
Right. And I think humans have always understood that like something difficult can also be comforting. And in order to have that comfort, you have to go through this difficult cycle of having to
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
restart over and over every day. But it's worth it because it gives you this order that you've been
Yeah, and
searching for.
if you think about maybe what life was like for the Egyptians at
Very
that point, a
ordered.
lot of uncomfy things
Oh
happening
yeah.
there.
Hmm.
Uh, so to me, this makes so much
Yeah,
sense.
I mean, they weren't living long to begin with, and then it was probably
And it was a
very
lot of
crazy.
tiresome work,
Mhm.
for their day to
And to
day
live in
life.
the desert, it's
Yeah.
no way air conditioning. No. I couldn't do it with it. It
Yeah.
was not great.
I mean,
Didn't love that.
honestly, it's hard, I think, maybe for us to picture just how difficult their
Oh,
life
yeah.
probably was
Mm,
at this moment.
yeah,
So,
no question.
it makes sense that even their sun and moon
Require a lot of work.
require a lot of work.
Yep, yep, makes a lot of sense. So, why did the moon become emotional?
I mean, when we look at all of these myths together, like across all the cultures, the moon almost always becomes
The
the
emotional one.
emotional one. I
Yeah.
mean, I think that's what I liked so much about our Egypt
Segment.
segment.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that it was like, oh, for once.
For once, the moon is not deemed that way. Yeah.
But it's not necessarily, it doesn't always have to be feminine to be emotional, or even gentle,
Right.
but it is given that sort of,
Connotation.
yeah,
And maybe it's because it's ever changing, right? So emotions get tied to this changeability that the moon represents, like how the monthly cycle creates this constant shift.
yeah. I mean, I think the sun can rise and set. Yeah, but
That's it. Yeah.
the
It's kind of
moon
constant in
will
comparison to
look
the moon.
different,
Hmm.
right? It doesn't always
Exactly.
stay the same.
Yeah.
So, when you look at the full cycle of a moon, waxing,
Hmm.
waning, crescent, or, like full, and
Yeah.
sort of the strengths that come with
Yeah.
those phases, it changes.
And people aren't consistent
And
like that
right.
either.
And
Right.
humans fluctuate too.
Our moods shift, our identities evolve,
Yeah.
we grieve, heal, withdraw, and return from it. So the moon representing that makes a lot of sense because it in and itself changes constantly.
And it was something that they could look up and see
It's a
happening.
parallel.
So
Yeah.
that it was like, oh, okay.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you see that reflected back at you and it's an emotional mirror, right?
Yeah, and it doesn't mean it's necessarily inherently
Right.
emotional.
Right. But it's visibly transforming in front of you. So it makes it say, it's okay to do that. Like, it's still remaining itself with the change.
It comes back each
Mhm.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. The moon gave humans permission to see change as natural, and that's honestly very profound, I think. I mean,
Yeah.
that, because
And that it's okay.
yeah, humans
Yeah.
just struggle with change. It's not an easy thing for us. We like things to be constant and comfortable, so that's why
Yep.
the sun gets this pedestal, if you will,
Yeah.
because it's constant and it
It's
never
two things.
changes,
It's
right?
there or it's not.
Right. And the moon changes and it becomes like, ooh, we don't like change.
It's uncomfy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, every single month, the moon reminds us that transformation isn't failure, it's a cycle. And that symbolism starts showing up all over the place, right?
Yeah. The moon also becomes associated with things like intuition because it
Mm,
belongs to the night, a time when visibility is reduced and people
mm,
have to maybe rely on their other
yeah,
senses.
yeah.
So this is interesting for us, like as women, right?
I think women are innately more in tuned with their intuition. Not every woman is, but I think we can tap into it a little easier than men. So I can see why we get this the moon is a woman,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
situation because we have to be more adaptable and more easily changed to
Well,
live.
I mean, yeah, so
I
much of our day to
be
day existence is impacted by
just
our environment,
our hormones. We
I
live in
mean,
constant change. So I think
our
because
because of even outside entities, I
mhm,
think that we have to be a little more
flexible and
flexible and
intuitive.
intuitive to sort of survive it, to
Yes.
be honest.
Mhm. So this parallel of, like, women being connected to the moon to me makes a lot of sense
Yeah,
in ways that I didn't realize
even
until
if
now.
you think
Yeah.
of it in terms of like our menstrual cycles
Yeah.
too, it's like
It's, like, an impossible yeah, sure.
it's all there.
28 days.
Yeah.
It's right there.
Yeah.
And then it's not just the actual period, it's the whole thing around it, right? So
Yeah.
you're changing through the whole
Your whole
shift.
cycle. Yeah.
Mhm.
Again, I mean, even modern medicine overlooks that
Oh, yeah.
piece
Well,
that
we can that's
that
a
we're
whole
different
'nother thing
every week.
we can get into.
So fun.
Yep. Um, so the moon also becomes associated with grief because it waxes and wanes, appearing to lose itself before returning again. And I love looking at grief that way because it's true. You go through such
It's
shifts of how you feel about that
and it
when it
also
happens.
it's like because the moon is also right associated with the water, and so the
Mhm.
water ebbs and flows too.
Yeah.
Like I think it's again this
Tides.
like very um cyclical way of grieving
Yeah.
too.
So it becomes associated with mystery because half the time it's not fully visible. So you have half the yeah, I never thought of it that way, but the moon is gone. You don't see it in the sky, but it always does come back around again. So there's a mystery to it of like, where did it go? I can see how that
Yeah,
became like,
I
huh?
mean,
You know?
I was just thinking like how there are definitely nights even here where like
Oh, it's so
Owen
dark.
loves the moon. And so
He's like, where is
he will
it?
go and look for it. He's like, "Where's the moon?" And I'm like, "It's there, buddy. Like, don't worry. It'll come
It's
back
there. It's
again.
just you can't
You
see it.
can't see it right now."
It's a mirror.
I mean, like where the sun says, "Look at everything." The moon is like some things
Have to
take some time.
yeah,
Yeah,
unfold in
it's
their
a more
own
real thing. Yeah.
mhm. Yeah, the sun reveals and like I said, the moon's reflecting, right? The sun exposes, but the moon invites you back in, right? Like it
Mm.
invites you to learn it on your own at your own time.
Yeah, and like the sun invites us to sort of pay attention
Mhm.
to the world around us because, light. And
Yeah,
and the moon wants us to look
inward.
internally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think humans have always linked darkness to uncertainty and that's why the moon gets associated with this, like, hidden thing, right?
Yeah.
Where it's just things that have to, like, again, unfold in their own time. It's not always hidden for a bad reason. It's hidden for,
Right.
again, not evil, just needing time to process through it. It's, again, this cyclical idea of, like, it needs to unfold at the right time in order for it to make sense for someone to understand it. It's not like the sun said presents it there, like, up on
It's
a
not this
whiteboard,
simple. Yeah.
right? Where the moon, it's like, okay, we need to process through something like grief, which is not, here it is,
Yeah,
get over it. Like it's,
not
you can't do that. It
I
doesn't
mean,
work that way.
yeah, it's not always black and white.
Right.
There's a lot of
Hmm.
in between.
Yeah.
And I think
Again, the
that's
liminalness of it
yeah,
all.
that's why I liked Homer describing Nyx as like sort of Zeus looking at her in awe or like
Yeah.
awe-inspiring
Hmm.
because night is this vast force
Hmm.
and the moon is a piece of that.
Totally.
And so it's not always as easy to understand or as comfortable
Yeah.
to look into, but
Hmm.
it's the reality.
It's just how it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this liminal space idea, right? Brings us to one of my favorite words, lunatic. The word actually comes from the Latin word luna, so
Ooh.
meaning the
Moon.
moon.
Yep.
For centuries, people genuinely believed that the moon could influence behavior, emotions, and even mental health, which they weren't wrong. People blame full moons for strange behavior, heightened emotions, sleeplessness, crime, and chaos. Now, scientifically, we know those beliefs are not 100% accurate, but also, not wrong. I see what they're trying to say.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
I think scientifically it's hard to maybe prove those things,
Yes.
or maybe it's easier for those things to be misconstrued.
Yeah. But I think, like, psychologically, the fact that we think it affects us in that way is really
Yeah.
interesting. When our emotions feel unpredictable, we instinctively search for patterns, right? So,
We want an explanation.
right.
Yeah.
And the moon, with its visible cycles, became an easy one to tie it to. So even today, we'll say that, oh, the full moon is out and people are acting weird, or that's
No, must be
why.
a full moon. The children are acting out.
Yeah,
Must be a full moon.
exactly. And whether we literally believe that or not is not the point here, right? We're just doing the same thing that humans have always done, tying something we can't explain to the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah, humans are not linear creatures. We don't grow, heal, or grieve in straight lines. We cycle, retreat, revisit, and return again. Every month, the moon reminds us that change doesn't have to mean something like becoming someone new, just a new version of yourself. So if the moon becomes humanity's emotional mirror, the sun becomes humanity's symbol for power.
Yeah. I mean, that's usually how it's framed. And honestly, it does make sense. I
Yeah.
mean, unlike the moon, the sun is constant. It arrives every day, essentially in its exact same form,
Right.
right?
Yep.
And for most of human history, entire civilizations were built around its rhythms.
Mhm.
So it's no surprise that humans eventually started associating the sun with authority.
Right.
Because when something feels dependable,
Mm,
powerful, and life giving, we often elevate it to a symbol of leadership.
yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a sun king,
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
sun became associated with kingship, order, visibility, truth, divine right, and in some cultures, it meant masculinity.
Hot take, the sun is also a goddess. They're both goddesses because the sun brings life and stability and motherly.
Sustainment.
Yeah, like I am
Yeah.
sorry, they're both goddesses. But anyway, that's just my opinion. I I,
I
I
mean,
don't know how you see it as a man. Like I'm trying to see it.
never seen a man bring life into this world.
Nope. Like I'm not trying to say like and
It's
bring it
just
in
a
a
different
negative way. It's just a different
Yeah, I think
maybe
it's
it's just
just a
me never
different
seeing it that
role.
way
I
in
always
my
thought
mind.
in my mind they were both goddesses.
Yes, correct.
And that's why it works because they have to work
Because they both have
together
to
and
work
they
in
can do that.
harmony. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They're sisters.
Probably.
2 sisters. What is that from? Oh, it's Olaf.
Yeah. I was like, wait, that's Frozen.
Correct.
Uh,
2 sisters. So, we wanna be careful here because we've already said that the sun is not universally male. So, this is not a biological truth, but a cultural pattern. What society projects onto the sun was authority, and authority often mirrored what society had already valued.
which was men. I
At
mean,
yeah,
Zeus.
mhm. Yeah,
I mean, like,
exactly.
it's just the easiest
Exactly.
example right
Mhm,
now is that when male figures are typically the ones in power.
mhm.
So so it would seem natural, I guess, to put a male in the role of son.
It's interesting if you think about, like, if you go back to Norse, like, the Vikings valued men and women pretty equally,
Yeah.
and you see this balance of a male and a female in this, like,
In that role
balance,
too. Yeah.
right? So,
And Freya was treated,
yeah, just as equally as
yeah,
Odin or had
and
power
valued in
and
that
value,
same way.
right? So
Yeah.
I think it's interesting to see the parallel with the actual people themselves of how they represented themselves in mythology.
Yeah. Like gender wise, I think
Yeah,
we see a lot of those parallels.
right. So here's the thing, the sun doesn't hide. It exposes, illuminates, reveals, and humans have long associated visibility with legitimacy. which we kind of talked about in some other episodes, right? If everyone can see it, it must be powerful. If everyone depends on it, it must be important, which is why rulers throughout history have constantly borrowed this solar imagery.
I mean, yeah, so take Louis the 14th of France, for example. He was literally called
The Sun
the Sun
King.
King.
Yeah.
And that wasn't subtle branding. Like, it was
No.
very strategic.
Yeah.
Everything, if anyone has been to Versailles, it is gold,
Yes. It
shiny,
is his palace.
as a hall of mirrors. I
Yes.
mean, it's very,
So it gives solar for sure.
yeah, it
It gives
sun
it
focused.
gives the day court.
Yeah. Oh, hmm. Louis. Interesting. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Helios.
Hmm.
Anyway.
But I mean, Louis literally wanted people to understand that just as planets revolved around the sun, that France revolved around him.
Oof.
Like
What
I
is with
think,
these French men and their egos?
well, he was also little man,
Of course,
so
they
we have
all
big
seem
ego.
to be.
Little man, big ego.
Yes,
He wasn't just a ruler; he was the center, the
right.
source. The like he wanted to be seen as the
The
source.
thing everyone depends on. And if he's not around, it just doesn't exist.
My gosh,
The life.
bold marketing
Ag
campaign right
that
there. Wow, the internet would have had a field day with that
Are you
today.
kidding? I mean, you see solar symbolism everywhere. Look at religious art, and you'll notice that halos, like the halos
Ooh, a
behind the
halo,
saints and
right.
deities, radiant crowns, golden circles, beams of light. Artists repeatedly use the language of the sun to communicate divinity, holiness, and authority.
Yeah, I mean, like, gold itself becomes this, like, ray of light,
Yeah, exactly.
with high value.
And it doesn't, like gold doesn't tarnish easily. It shines, reflects light, and resembles the sun itself. And for thousands of years, humans have used it as like a status and wealth and immortality representation. And same with fire.
Yeah, I mean, fire is essentially a fragment of
Hmm.
is it or yeah, fragment, a piece of the solar power
Yeah,
down to Earth.
right.
It still is providing warmth,
Hmm.
protection even. And that's why so many traditions treat fire as sacred also.
Hmm.
Because underneath all of this symbolism is a much simpler human instinct. We trust what we can see.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, and that usually is the thing, like with people who have challenges around faith or,
yeah,
believing and trusting in the unseen.
yeah, definitely. That's why I feel like the mythology, I can see why these people use these stories to reflect what they wanted to because it feels like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like in their
Yeah.
culture, right? Where you can see why, with our science and all these other things that we have going on to disprove those things, that it can be very hard for someone maybe not raised in a traditional, like religious faith, would have a hard time
Grasping.
grasping how somebody could
Yeah.
believe in something they can't see
Yeah.
or can't prove, with evidence in a science way.
Yeah, I'm a person who I'm always going to want all of the
Mhm.
information.
Yep.
And that is a particular subject where we're missing
Yeah.
pieces. And there's no
Laura
way we're not.
Laura and I are very mercurial people, and we
Yeah.
want all the information before making a decision, and we don't get that with religion, so
So
it's it's a
it's
very
hard.
difficult for
Yeah,
us, yeah.
it's hard for our brains to grasp that.
Yeah, it's hard. Which brings us to one of the most enduring contrasts in mythology. The sun reveals and the moon conceals. Sun exposes what's hidden, and the moon softens what is visible. Ooh.
I mean, I think that's why the symbolism has survived for so
Yeah.
long because every single one of us lives in both spaces,
Mhm.
right? Where I mean, again, that inward, that introspection is
Equally
just as
important.
important.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe that's why it's hard for us to see the sun or the moon as being a gender of any kind because
Yeah.
we do experience both sides of that no matter who you are. And when it gets labeled one way or the other, it's like, oh, well, I'm a man, so I only experience the solar side of things. It's like,
Yeah.
no,
And
that's
you're
not
like,
how
that's
that
not how it
works.
works.
Or
Yeah.
even the other way, because I think a lot
Totally.
of women are like, I'm the moon god, I'm a moon
The
goddess.
sun,
And
it
it's,
burns me.
well, yes, but but also there is value in the sun side of it also. So
Right. I
you
mean,
need
both
to
are very necessary parts of life. I mean,
Ex
I think regardless of putting a gender with
either.
either of them,
Yeah,
it really at the end of the day, as long as they both are doing their thing,
exactly.
we're good.
Exactly. So, again, that's why these have survived as long as they have.
We've always needed both.
We need both
Yeah.
to yeah, we live in both spaces. There are parts of us that we share openly, there's parts that we keep hidden. There are seasons of action and seasons of introspection, moments where we lead and other times where we take a step back. I think
Reflection, yeah.
we need both, and that's where they come into play. It becomes representation of just different parts of your life and times of
And
your life.
it's really between action and reflection and between the things we show the world and the things we quietly carry inside
Mhm.
ourselves. And I mean, humans still do this, right? Modern people still emotionalize the cosmos constantly.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, I know
totally.
we do because we talk about it, but
Yes, yes, for sure. No, but I mean, you see people being like, oh, there's a full moon coming up, so I got to put my moon water out, like all these rituals and
yeah.
things around the moon, or describing people as like a sunshine boyfriend in a book, right? Like, it's putting these
Golden
qualities
retriever.
on people or things that you're doing in your day to day. Like, I still hear people talking about the sun and the moon all the time.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole little song, like, I used to sing it to well,
Mm.
actually, I still sometimes sing it to Owen,
Hmm.
when he was a baby, he used to ask me to sing Sunshine,
Okay, yeah.
and to him, that's the "You are my
Oh,
sunshine."
I love that. It's so cute.
And so he still will be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, sunshine."
Yeah, yeah.
And
Oh, it's
so,
so
like,
sweet.
it's extra fun for us because he's my son, right? He's
Oh,
the
son,
sun.
like SON.
So, yeah, so it's,
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, it's very cute. Yeah.
Um,
Well, and relying on the stars to explain things for us, right?
yeah,
When things feel like unright,
off.
off, or not
Yeah.
quite right, and there's no logical explanation, we say, "What's going on in the
I'm
stars
sure
right now?
something's
Something's
happening.
going
Something's
on."
happening. I
Yeah.
can explain this. Give
Mercury's
me a
in
second.
Gatorade again. Yeah, and again, to bring up that is it's astrology. I mean, astrology is everywhere. People talk about it way more than I remember. I remember looking at it as a kid all the time.
Yeah. Or like in
And
high school
now and
specifically.
then I would be like bring it up to somebody and be like, "What the hell are you
What do you
talking about?"
mean?
I'm like, "What do you mean? You don't know what you're talking you don't know what I'm saying." Like I don't understand.
Yeah, like we were speaking a foreign language.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you're like, no,
Um
there's a chart,
Oh yeah,
actually.
there's a whole thing about
Yeah.
it and you're missing out. Yeah, we're using the planets and the cosmos to explain ourselves, right?
The literal sky to explain
Who we are, how
us as
things,
people.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
which
how
we've
many
talked about this
times
whole episode.
have I sent you my youngest son's chart and been like, oh, so this is why we're having a hard
Yes.
time. Like,
Yeah, I know we did that like recently and I was like, "Oh, this is
yeah, this makes
yeah.
sense. It's
Mhm.
like, oh, because
And
somehow,
again, in relation to you, like your relationship
oh,
with him,
yeah,
right?
like how
So
I view the world is different than how he views the world.
and different from how Parker views it. So you have like this
Yeah.
it's again the familial dynamic being reflected into this,
And I just want to understand, like, I was
you
just
to
trying to
understand.
understand it
Mhm.
better so that maybe things could flow a little
Yeah,
smoother for us. Like,
exactly.
it just,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I
I
love when things can make sense like that. When
yeah.
I'm like,
Oh, we're connecting
oh,
the dots here of things that I didn't even
like
realize.
especially with my youngest one, right? Like, he really, really resents being held back.
Yeah.
He really likes to sort of go headfirst into everything.
Sagittarius.
And my logical brain hates that.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, wait a second. Like,
Yeah.
if you do that, this is going to happen or this is going to
Yeah.
happen. And he's like, I don't care.
Yep.
Yeah. So we conflict in that way.
Oh, yeah. And we have that a little bit like so Bronson being a Scorpio, right, is a little bit more like me in the sense that he thinks a lot of it like he's very cerebral before he does
Yeah.
things. And my husband is an Aries and is like, no, just do it. Like, and I'm like, nah.
Yeah,
And Bronson's like, what do you mean just do it? Like I can see the panic on his face sometimes. Like, what? Like,
same.
yeah. I'm like,
Same.
I understand, buddy. I really do. And then my daughter's the opposite. She's like, okay.
Goes along.
Yeah. She's like,
Yes,
I'm going.
little
Let's do it.
Taurus.
Yes. She's charging through just like he does. So it's like, it's a funny dynamic that we have there. So I think it's something we still do constantly.
Love I say we, us, the two
M
of us
we.
specifically,
We.
love
Mhm.
explaining, trying to find our the best in the best way we can.
Yeah.
Ways to explain our worlds and our people
Mhm.
and make sense of it all. And
Totally.
this is just another layer to that.
Yeah. I mean, in pop culture, it comes up a lot. In
Yeah.
other than astrology, but like
Yeah.
Sailor Moon is literally all sun and moons and
Yeah, and their
everything.
personalities, right?
Yeah, and the planets become archetypes themselves. It's just very, you know,
Humans literally placing themselves in the cosmos.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 And then again, this femininity in the moon, right? Which we, I think, agree that it's not that simple.
What we see is modern people still looking to the sky for meaning constantly.
Yeah.
And we track moon phases, we romanticize these sunsets,
Mm-hmm.
and there's sort of a fear and mystery placed on
Eclipse. Yeah.
eclipses. And we joke about retrogrades.
Yeah.
I don't know. I take it kind of serious,
So
but
I
that's
do
fine.
too. But anyway,
And we
listen.
just,
But you know why? Because we are Mercury people. So
yeah,
we take it.
we
It
feel
hits us
it.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we describe people as our sunshine
Hmm.
or a lunatic.
Lunatic. Yeah.
And we still use those celestial languages to explain our emotions because humans never stopped wanting the universe to feel personal, to feel like
Right.
it's a part of all of
Right.
this.
Hmm.
Um,
It's easier to understand when it's not chaos and it's more relatable.
yeah,
So the sun and the moon became humanity's first cosmic mirrors because people needed the universe to feel relational before it could feel understandable. And astrology is what happens when humans eventually place themselves inside of those stories. I think that's like the first thing we thought of when we came across this pattern of where we were
yeah,
going with these episodes is that it's hard not to talk about astrology after talking about this sun and moon dynamic, right?
right.
Because they are part of astrology themselves.
With the stars.
The sun and the moon are tied to specific signs themselves. So my mind goes there immediately. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, the moon is related to Cancer and the
Mhm.
sun is related to Leo, and they happen to be back to back. I
Yeah.
didn't even think about that until just now. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of interesting
We see a lot of parallels there with
mirrors.
our
Yeah.
signs.
And I think it's hard not to see how, or not, it's hard not to think about how these celestial bodies have shifted now to becoming not these big, gods and cycles and omens and more personal and destiny and
Your identity.
identity.
Yeah.
Yeah. And archetypes as a
Our
whole.
emotional
Right.
archetypes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like we were talking about before, knowing somebody's astrological sign informs you of what they're like, at least to some
Yeah.
degree, right? So, just knowing what you said about Owen, for example, like that tells you a lot about how he's going to maybe behave versus somebody, who's a totally different sign, right? Like
Yeah.
yourself, for
I
example.
mean, to keep in the hard moments, I have to keep being like, "Oh, he's the same sign as Taylor Swift." Like, this will be okay eventually, right? Like,
The bravery, he'll
it's
be brave
hard
in other
now because
ways.
he's 5.
Yes.
But when he gets bigger, maybe that leads to some cool things,
Yeah, oh, it
you
will.
know?
I think so. It informs itself to cool things. Adventures,
Yeah.
fun adventures.
Yeah.
So just like how the sun and the moon are not just celestial bodies, neither is astrology and the rest of the stars,
Yeah,
right?
neither are the stars,
They were mythology first, so that's kind of what we're going to get into next episode.
which we're really excited
We
about, if you can't
are.
tell. I think the stars are, again, all there for a reason. They're
Mhm.
not just like,
Yeah, we'll have to go back to the Greeks a little bit to get
yeah,
there,
yeah.
but
Again, I'm
um
not mad about it.
no,
I
not at
think
all.
it's yeah.
But I think that there's a lot of information that we can come or can get from these myths that inform why the zodiac signs are the way they are and why
Yeah,
those themes have come across in that way.
and why humanity is
We're still putting ourselves up there.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's we still find a way to make it relatable.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
it's really cool.
Um, yeah, so are you a sun or a moon?
Yeah, I mean, and do you think your gender plays a part of that, or
Mm.
do you see it as more of a neutral space?
Yeah, like kind of what we were saying, like
Yeah.
where you can be sun-like and also moon-like depending
Yeah.
on where you're at or what you're dealing with. There are things about each that are of value, and that's I think we've kind of come to that conclusion as on its own
Why
anyway.
both are important. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, we'll see you guys
Yeah.
next week with our water signs.
Yay.
Bye.
Bye. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow Goddess Behavior and leave a review. It helps other legendary mortals find us.
Questions are always welcome. No oracle required.
Stay bold.
Stay curious.
That's Goddess Behavior.